as anybody who's ever lived on a golf course in their lives is gonna know, the game is hard. Very hard. But some players appear to be better equipped than others to deal with that pressure. Too equipped sometimes. There have been a lot of occasions when players have decided to cheat to gain ground on their opponents, which is obviously inexcusable. Today we're going to be discussing the worst cheats in golfing history. So if that interests you, you're in the right place. First up, it's Jane Blaylock, so stay tuned. Blaylock was basically the Lee Westwood of her day. Plenty of tour wins, but could never quite get over the line in a major tournament. She even once went 299 tournaments in a row making the cut, which is some achievement. The 1969 Rookie of the Year is a name that most people associate with the fantastic accomplishments she achieved throughout her career. But sadly, it really didn't pan out that way. Blaylock is more associated with cheating thanks to her reputation of illegally marking her balls on the green and improving her lies. Fortunately, her lies ultimately weren't good enough, and she was cut. She received a suspension for her underhanded tactics, which resulted in a bitter lawsuit against the LPGA. Do you remember Jane Blaylock? Next up is the man who everybody loves to hate at the moment, and it's Big Phil Mickelson. At the 2018 US Open, Mickelson did something that every amateur golfer has done before after missing his putt. He hit his ball when it was still moving. A lot of people suggested lefty should have been disqualified, but by the time his egregious foul came about, he was way off the pace on the third day of the competition. At par 4 13th at Shinnecock Hills, Mickelson missed a relatively routine 7-footer, and it carried on rolling down the hill. He jogged past the hole toward his ball and hit it back towards the hole as it was moving. It was basically what kids do when they see their ball heading off the green and towards the rough. After finally holing out for a 10, he was slapped with a 2-stroke penalty. And while he could have just been disqualified, he was actually saved by the fine print. And Mickelson even revealed he knew what he was doing, and that angered players even more. He said, "It was meant to take advantage of the rules as best you can. In that situation, I was just going back and forth. I would gladly take the 2 shots over continuing that display." Well, okay then. What did you make of Mickelson's antics? Patrick Reed's coming through now, so stick around. 2018 Masters winner Reed was handed a 2-stroke penalty for improving his lie in a bunker at an event in the Bahamas back in 2018. Brooks Koepka had claimed that his Ryder Cup teammate was, wait for it, building sandcastles in the bunker to improve his lie. And the tour took Koepka's side, slapping the then 27-year-old Reed with a 2-stroke penalty. Reed had clipped sand in a waist area whilst practicing a swing at the Hero World Challenge, but immediately claimed he had done nothing wrong. He was heckled by fans a week later at the President's Cup meeting, where his caddy was handed a brief suspension for snapping at one fan who had gone a bit too far. And Koepka even offered his take on the Reed cheating scandal, saying, "I don't know what he was doing, building sandcastles in the sand, but you know where your club is. I took 3 months off, and I can promise you, I know if I touch the sand." If you look at the video, obviously he grazes the sand twice, and then he still chops down on it. What's the worst example of cheating you've ever seen? We're talking about Bhavik Patel now. Little-known pro Patel was suspended back in 2015 for testing positive for banned performance-enhancing drugs whilst on tour. The then 24-year-old Cali native was slapped with a 1-year ban, but he claimed it was all innocent, saying in a statement after the ruling that he was just trying to overcome an injury. Yeah, right. However, he did go on to say that he regretted what he's done, before claiming that he'd learned his lesson. Patel has kind of dropped off the face of the earth since the ban, which seems to have been the end of his career. Another player to incur the wrath of Tour de Vijay Singh, who admitted to using deer antler spray. The deer antler spray is known to contain IGF-1, which is a banned substance. However, he avoided the ban as it didn't contain enough of the substance to trigger a positive result. So what are your thoughts on performance-enhancing drugs in golf? Next up, it's on Tiger, so stay tuned. With 110 tour wins, it's safe to say that Tiger Woods definitely doesn't need to cheat to do well at the game. And whilst not technically cheating at all, this next anecdote did raise a few eyebrows. After a wild tee shot on the par 5 13th at the Phoenix Open in 1999, Tiger ended up with a pretty rough lie. Well, an almost impossible lie actually, as it was up against a boulder, which meant he would certainly have to drop a shot to get back onto the fairway. But fear not, Tiger's fans came to the rescue. Whilst none of them nor Tiger actually touched his ball, they did find a way around the problem. They decided that the best course of action would be to physically remove the boulder out of the path of Tiger's next shot. Following the boulder removal team doing their thing, Tiger was presented with a clear line to the green and even made a birdie. Now this is still spoken about today and was very controversial at the time, due to the fact that the size of his gallery gave him a clear advantage. So whilst not technically cheating, it was definitely cheating. But do you guys remember this one? Lexi Thompson being caught out by a viewer at home now. Thompson was caught by an eagle-eyed viewer back in 2017, who had noticed that the LPGA star hadn't replaced her ball in the correct spot on TV. So she emailed in to snitch on her. That's a little weird, a little crazy, but the fan actually cost Thompson a major title, the ANA Inspiration, after she was given a 4-stroke penalty. At the time of the punishment, she was 2 strokes clear on the final day, but after the fan emailed in, she ended up 2 strokes behind, which laid to rest her dreams of lifting the first major of the season. The infraction occurred on day 3 when she was out on the 17th green. As she marked her ball, she put it back down literally seconds later in the wrong place. I mean, she barely even gained an advantage, but it was clearly placed closer to the hole. The incident didn't go very noticed at first. However, it took an eagle-eyed viewer to email in for officials to notice. And it wasn't until the next day when Lexi was on the 12th green of her final round that commentators began talking about an infraction that had occurred the day before. Of course, rules are rules, and players can't be seen to be gaining an advantage by moving their balls, so officials had to hand her a 2-stroke penalty from playing from the wrong place, as well as another 2 for signing the incorrect scorecard. And who said golf was pompous? And finally, it's Arnold Palmer. Stay tuned. Palmer was the golden boy of the sport from the late 1950s to the 1980s, but some have suggested that his first ever Masters win back in 1958 was won by cheating. At the par 3 12th of the world-famous Amen corner, the name which was actually coined at tournament, Palmer hit his tee shot toward the back of the green, which he says embedded itself in the mud between the fringe and the back bunker. Palmer assumed it would be a drop without a penalty due to the nature of the lie, but the official, Arthur Lacey, demanded that Palmer play it from where it lay, saying that it was half-plugged. But Palmer argued because of the heavy rain, and they were playing with wet weather rules, which was probably right. However, he was forced to play it, and after barely moving the ball, he received an uncontested free drop. But in the end, he ended up scoring a double bogey 5. Of course, he wasn't happy, so he returned to the embedded scratch and dropped another over his shoulder, where the ball eventually played, this time getting it up and down for 3. He told his playing partner Ken Venturi that they would let the judges figure it out. But of course, being the golden boy that he was, he got the decision. It was later suggested that favoritism was at play thanks to Palmer's iconic status. Venturi went on to finish -2, and Palmer won the tournament with -4. The pair never spoke again. So what do you guys think on this one? Venturi or Palmer? And as always, thanks for tuning in today. And remember to join us for the next time that we have some more fun and games for you to play or learn about. Also, feel free to do us a solid and like today's video, as well as share it with any avid golfers that you might know of. And also, why not subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of the more great content we bring for you guys in the future. Later, guys!